Welcome and welcome back to my channel, Boomzibi Beauty. If you are new to my channel, my name is Juliana. Today's video is my third installment of my project pan and palette rotational videos. So I've already done two, and in my last one I reviewed what I had done with my previous palette, the one I picked up in my first episode. But what's going to be peculiar about today's video is I'm not going to show you the progress of which I now have 10 palettes now that has been in my rotation that I've been trying to pan. So I'm not going to include that in this video. I'm going to do a separate video because then the last one there were 5. Now there's going to be 10 plus this new one. So I wanted this video to kind of like be not too long, if you like, just straight to the point. So this is just going to be about the new palette I'm going to put in my third rotation, and then I'll come back in a different video to tell you the progress of the last 10 palettes which came from the last 2 videos, if you like. So we are going to focus on the new palettes I'm putting in my rotation today. So I actually picked out 7 palettes because I couldn't make up my mind which 5 I wanted to really, you know, pin down and pan. I had the blends palette alongside this other 6 palettes, but I'm kind of like going to leave that because I've been using it a lot that I'm going to be panning it without even conscious effort. In that one I think I'm about to pan on one of the shades in that palette, so I'm not going to put it in my rotation. But I do have 6 here. Previously I've picked out 5, but I cannot make up my mind which one to drop. So this was the one I was thinking maybe not to include, the Love Epidemic palette from Plain Makeup by Yolondo, but I'm not picking it up, and I haven't even used the reds in this palette. It's just, anyway, we'll get there. Let's start with Linda Harberg's palette. So I think, yeah, it's Linda Harberg Cosmetics. So this is the color palette. I think I got this in the last Black Friday sales, and I still have not touched this palette. I mean, can you imagine? Not touched, not even swatched. It's like primary colors. It's a bit like, it's similar to Viziat's one of Viziat's palette that is like primary colors. I think it's exact colors apart from the black and brown, but as far as the greens, the oranges, the pinks are concerned, they are quite similar. I mean, look at that. This is perfect really for my single. I don't know why I've not picked up this palette, which is why I'm going to include it in my panel. And it's such a beautiful palette in the sense that it's got all the shades you might need. So all your primary colors, then this brown and black to really darken the outer edge. So it is perfect. So I have no choice but to put it in my rotation because otherwise I will never use this palette. So yeah, this is going to be the first palette in my third rotation. Alright, the second palette I'm putting in is the Nomad Lake Como palette. So this palette is perfect in the sense of it's going to complement, I mean, this set I have in this rotation. So this is like your yellows, greens and blues. I mean, I don't tend to use yellow, but for this palette I think it's appropriate because it's going to be so good to kind of like blend out these other shades, this blue, this green, this lighter blue as well. I think it fits in perfectly, or for the inner corner actually will be perfect. So this is another palette that I've used once. I think I've not really used since I got it, so yeah, I want to get good use out of this one. So this one as well as the Linda Harberg palette, I am not going to like depot at the end of the year. The whole purpose of starting this panning project and using my palettes really is to decide at the end of the year any palette that is in this rotation, or most of the palette that are in this rotation that I have not used. I then make up my mind at the end of the year whether I want to continue to pan them or I just want to get rid of them, or you know, or give it to somebody, whatever I need to do. But it's to help me make up my mind whether I really like it or it's not worth my time. So yeah, but this one is not going to be one of those because whether I use it or I don't use it, yeah, it's still going to continue to stay in my collection. This is a beautiful palette. Yeah, so that's the second palette I'm putting in the rotation. Okay, the third one is the Blossom Passion palette from Ace Beauty. I've had this for definitely 2 years now, that's for sure. So this is the inside of the palette. So mine is one of those formulas that people are complaining doesn't work for them. I don't have such problems with any of the old palettes. So I have used, I mean, you will see dips in this one, so I have used it, but it's limited to the kind of color story you can create from this because yeah, maybe 3 different kind of color combinations, and that's just about it. It's not a it's not detriment to the palette. It's just it's not the kind of shades that you use all the time, so which makes it limited already. plus the color limitation, I just don't reach for it as often as I should. So yeah, I want to use this more, and this is one of the ones where I want to make up my mind by the end of the year whether I'm declustering or not. So if I don't see any improvement in my use, or I don't develop new love for it, yeah, this one is definitely going to be decluttered. Alright, the fourth palette is going to be the Sugar Cone palette from BH Cosmetics. This is the Sweet Shop collection. So this is the brown one. I had no business really getting this one, but it was the last one I didn't have, you know, out of the 6, and it just seems weird to have 5 out of 6 that came out as a collection. So I had to get the browns. But if you know me, then you know I'm not so much into neutral colors, but nothing stops me from using this. Yeah, fair enough, it's not as dark as I would want it to be, but for an everyday palette it's not too bad. In terms of, I mean, this is okay enough to darken the outer corner for like a weekday look, not for like a proper look. Of course you need variation of the matte, but yeah, I think this is suitable for every day, and this is one of the ones I would give away. Not declutter, but I have to give someone because it's fairly new. So yeah, if I don't kind of get more into it or develop another love for it, yeah, definitely going to be giving this one out. But I want to give it a shot. Because the shimmers in this palette are magical. So these are the shimmers. They are just magical. I mean, look at that. I wish I could kind of like press, even if I let me not deceive myself, even if I press them into single shades, I still won't use them. I mean, I've got like more beautiful succulents and just joy to use single shimmers in these shades than to be deporting this. It would just be a waste. I would rather give it to somebody that will put good use or get good use out of the palette. Yeah, so that is the fourth palette going in my third rotation. Okay, the fifth palette is going to be the Bonnie's palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. So I've got the old version. Like, if you don't know, they've changed the format of this, so it now comes, instead of in weird circles, it now comes in rectangles. So mine is like the mixture of the small 26mm pans and the big 36mm pans, but the shimmers are beautiful and glorious. Because I picked the Linda Herberg's, which is an all matte palette, I believe this is kind of like going to be very useful in terms of using both of them, because of the shimmers in this palette, and also because they've changed the format now. There's no point, you know, hanging around. I mean, for this one, if I don't get to use it a lot, I'm definitely deporting this one. I'm not decluttering. This is one of the palette that is so beautiful in terms of deporting it. I don't know how easy it's going to be. I've never deported any of Unearthly Cosmetics palette before, but that is the goal. Yeah, at the end of the year I will be deporting in whatever impression I get of this palette. But I think I've used it once, and that's about it. So I want to put more use into this one. Yeah, it is gorgeous. I mean, especially after swatching it now, I'm definitely deporting this. So look at that. I'm gonna swatch the one on my thumb upside down. And this one, just wait for it. How gorgeous and silky that one is. Yeah, see, they are so beautiful. They'll be so perfect in terms of deporting them, especially this one. I think it's multi-chrome because I can see yellow on the screen, but I can see green on my hand. Yeah, definitely multi-chrome. This one is very beautiful and silky as well. Yeah, so I can just see me using this with the Linda Herberg palette. Look at that, side by side. Yeah, that is going to be a beautiful combination. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why I picked on this one. And plus the fact that I never use it, and I possibly will not feature it on this channel apart from putting it in my panning project. Yeah, so this is the fifth palette I'm putting in my panning project and rotation. I'm actually looking forward to using this one. I'm hoping I can do quite a few looks you know, on Instagram. You'll be seeing it on Instagram. Any looks I do on any of this palette are always on my Instagram, apart from like ones that are not really worthy to be posted, like everyday looks, like, or looks that I do just to be able to make myself look presentable at meetings. Yeah, where I don't do my brows or whatever, I won't post that on Instagram, but I will be posting them when I update you on how I've used all the palettes in my rotation. Okay, the sixth and final palette I'm putting in this third rotation is my Love Epidemic palette from Playing in Makeup by Yolondo, and it is a gorgeous palette. I do have a look on this palette on my channel. and I think I swatched a few of the shades as well. But yeah, I have a complete look on my channel. I'll link it to this video actually just to make it easy. Yeah, this palette I absolutely love. I think one of the downside of this palette, and the reason why I don't use it, is because it's only got 3 shimmers. I mean, look how beautiful, gorgeous and unique all these matte shades are to only have 3 shimmers. And these are the 3, and they're not even exciting shimmers. Look at that. That's it. I mean, I would expect a red shimmer at least, an orange shimmer. I mean, this shade is so beautiful. Let me swatch this red one as well. I mean, look at this. Look how beautiful this mattes are, and then look at the shimmers. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense. So for me, I know it's definitely why I don't reach for the palette as well. I mean, I have a lot of singles. I could easily use it with my singles, but sometimes you just want to pick up a palette and be able to use it for whatever you want to do without having to reach for something else. I mean, reaching for something else should be like a choice, not necessity. For this one, it was going to be a necessity. I mean, look at this. Look how gorgeous this are, especially when it comes to the red, this shade. And then even when the look at it was an all matte look, apart from my inner corner where I used the shimmer. And even to use the shimmer, I had to place the white matte in there. The white matte in this palette, which is this one, I had to place the white matte down and then put the shimmer because the shimmer was too dark for my inner corner. So yeah, that's the downside of this palette, and I don't like that. Look how gorgeous. I'm just gonna swatch on the side. Look at that. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, look at this. After swapping, look how pigmented those shades are. They are beautiful and pigmented. When I used them in that video, I really enjoyed it, but the lack of shimmers in the palette is just off-putting. I'm a shimmer girl, so for me, I love shimmers. I'd rather an all shimmer palette than an all matte palette. I just don't enjoy that. Yeah, so I don't enjoy. I love my shimmers. I really love my shimmers, so they stand out for me. So when you do see me create a look with this, it's going to be with my single shimmers, just to kind of give life to the palette, because I really want to use the reds in this palette. They are just beautiful. In fact, all the shades in this palette are beautiful. I've been using it to kind of like add, maybe for example with the purples are so good and they blend well that sometimes I just go straight to this purple. If I'm using another palette, I'm creating a different look, I just come straight to this palette, because separately it adds value to other palette I'm using, or other looks I'm doing, but just to stick to this palette is just difficult. It's difficult. I can definitely tell you that every matte shade in this palette is absolutely gorgeous and it blends so beautiful. I just don't understand why you would create a beautiful palette like this and then put the shimmers. I don't know. I suppose I can't win all the time. Some people prefer matte, some people like it the way it is. I like my palettes to have more shimmers. Yeah, so those are the 6 palettes I'm putting into the next rotation, and I'm looking forward to using some of them more than others, but I have to try and use all of them. So like I said, I will give you an update on the previous 10 palettes I picked in some later videos. Right now it's still hot in UK. Yeah, as I'm filming, I'm taking intervals to use my hand fan to just kind of cool myself down. It's just ridiculous. I'm fed up of the heat, but yeah, I just had to do this update. Also, my monthly ranking, I think the last month I stopped was in April, so I'm yet to do May, June and July. So what I've decided to do is to combine May and June together, then I will do July separately. But all of those videos are still waiting for me to film. But yeah, I think the next cool day I do get, I will try and get up to date with those ones. I just have to film this panning and rotation video as soon as I can, really, because I mean, this is August. I should be this would be like the 2nd month of using this palette, because the next rotation really starts in October. Yeah, so I have to do this video. Yeah, so those are the 6 palettes I'm going to be putting in my 3rd rotation. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, please like it, share it and subscribe to my channel, and until next time, I'll see you.